Any of you guys own a Cybex arc trainer whose console keeps flickering or not fully loading? It's probably because your inlet down below, looks like this, is damaged. So I'm going to show you how to fix that. So moving behind the arc trainer, you can see it's kind of a little dusty right here. All the way at the bottom, this is where our inlet is. So right here, I have a light right there. In this little slot right there, that's where our cord was fitted. Now, that runs through this bottom frame all the way here. There's a hole there, and then it runs into the shroud. And you can see inside, that's where it is. And the wires run all the way up and fit into the motor controller board. So we have to pull this cord out from the frame and then disconnect it from the board. There's also a shroud piece right here that you can easily get off by these screw holes. You just want to unscrew those screws on either side. There might be actually a third one right here too. Once you get that off, you'll have full access to the internals. So let's get to removing the wire. Now, this inlet has a ring on it. It actually has two rings on it. This one, and you can see it actually is damaged. This ring right here, you can slide that off by getting an adjustable wrench. And then underneath that, let me see if I can show you, there's this tiny little circular ring right here, if you can see that. These two are probably what's going to prevent it from being pulled out of here, so you have to remove those first. Once you remove those, then this should pop out of this hole. Once you pop it out of this hole, it's going to be running through this frame like I said earlier. And all I did was come over here, put a hand and start tugging on the wire, and then another hand here to fit it through the inside of this hole, and then slide it out as I'm pulling on this side, if that makes sense. So yeah, it's pretty easy. You just gotta keep tugging on it, make sure this thicker piece fits through that hole on this side, and then slip it out. So now all we gotta do is cut the zip ties holding it down, because there's zip ties all throughout the machine holding these wires down. Pull it out and unplug it from the board. All right, so we cut the zip ties. I just want to let you guys know that these wires, they're zip tied together and they loop around this little hole right here. So you are going to have to take them off and then unplug the inlet wire, which is this one right here. So now we have that out. We can pull the whole thing out. Bam. And now we just reverse the steps with our brand new inlet. Okay, so I reversed the steps. I put the wires through this little loop right here. I bunched them up and they're in a group now. And I also zip tied. They have holes on either side. It kind of stinks because the zip ties I used are black, but if you can see right there, there's a zip tie holding them together through holes. Even on that side, there's a zip tie holding them together and through those holes. You want to make sure you re-zip tie this because you don't want these wires moving around everywhere. Right there, you can see there's another one. Because they're moving parts, and the last thing you want is a wire torn because of those moving parts. Another thing to note is that these wires run through this frame piece right here. There's a hole here. Make sure they all run through there. I actually almost forgot the wire was hanging around this, and that's right next to the moving belt. So we don't want that to happen. So make sure they're all gathered together and run through this hole, and then they run all the way to the bottom. You could see there's a white zip tie right there, but they run through a hole all the way in the bottom, which is, hopefully the camera can get that. There we go. And that pulls out underneath. Now what we're gonna do is, I'm actually going to turn this whole machine on its side because it's just easier to look underneath and move the wire through. So we'll do that next. All right, we got the machine on its side. This is the hole that leads into the shroud. Here's the wire that we pulled out of it, and it's going to go through this hole right here. So you want to run that through, and it's going to go towards the bottom. And you may have to try to seek it out underneath here and pull it out. So, all right, pulled it out of here, and now all we got to do is reinsert it into there. And all you need to do is take off the 2 rings I told you about that are screwed on top of here. Once you do that, this is a certain shape. It's probably hard to see on camera, but you can see there's a flat edge right here. And if you look closely at the hole, it has a flat edge right there. So you want to match it up with the hole, otherwise you're going to damage it and damage the ribbing, and then, well, gonna have to get a whole new inlet. And the last things are reinserting the rings back on and tightening them. Both rings are on here. You could tighten this with an adjustable wrench. Once you do that and this is secure, then all you have to do is reinsert the back plate, screw it in, and you're good to go. So thank you guys for watching. Hopefully this is helpful. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel. We have more stuff like this coming out in the near future, and leave the video a like if you really found it valuable. Thanks.